Today, we are going to learn how to weave on our cardboard loom. You can see here what it's going to look like. Now, we're not going to fill the whole thing up. We're just going to do probably the top section of it. On the back, you can see that it's tied together, the string is, and we're going to put our name on a piece of tape. Once you write your name on that piece of tape, you're going to put your piece of tape onto the back where the knot is. This way we know whose weaving is whose. I'm going to put my marker away because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to get one of my yarn bundles and I'm going to find the middle, that's where it's hooked together, and just on one side pull a string out. Just tug on it and it should come right out. Then put the yarn bundle away for someone else to use. Now this is a pattern. Weaving is a pattern of under and then over. So you take the string and you weave it under and over, under and over. For the very first one, you leave a little tail sticking out the top side of it. So you can see here's my pattern of under and over, and then you leave a little tail sticking out, just about maybe 2 or 3 inches. I can even wrap it around that top notch so it's not getting in the way and I don't accidentally pull it out. So now I'm going to take the long side, the other side, and from here on out we're going to go back and forth across our weaving loom. So I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to start with the opposite. So if that one's under, the next one starts with over. So we always do opposites. It's under, over, even when we're switching directions. So use your fingers and carefully pick up the other pieces of yarn and weave the yarn, pull it through. Now, you want to pull it all the way, but not too much. Slide the pieces together, get it nice and straight, tug on it a little bit. If you tug on it so much that that bottom piece starts to come up, tug on it and just pull back into place, and that looks good. Push them together. Now I'm going to go back the other direction. So now from here on out we are going back and forth across our weaving loom. So I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to start weaving the other direction. So I'm going to start with under because I ended with over. So I'm going to take my fingers and kind of stick it underneath of there, peeling it up and then sticking it under, picking it up and then sticking it under. And we're going to continue this process all the way across our weaving loom. I'm going to continue weaving my string across my loom, making sure to not move the warped strings. Those are the ones that are wrapped around the loom. Those are called warp. And the ones that are going back and forth, different colors, those are called weft. When we talk about weaving, we want to make sure we're using the right terminology. So you have your warp and your weft. Now let's speed things up a little bit. I'm going to go a little faster here just to save some time. And I'm going to make sure I'm doing my over-under pattern. This is just a basic weave. It's a basic over-under pattern where I take the string, which is my weft, and I weave it under, over, across the warp, which is the black strings around the loom. The loom is the cardboard or the device on which we are weaving. I'm going to continue this process. Now eventually I'm going to run out of string and I'm going to be ready to switch colors. So when that happens, I'm going to go and I'm going to get myself another color and I'm going to, looks like I'm about ready to switch colors. So I don't have much left on my string, so let's get another yarn bundle and find the center again. Carefully tug on one string, it should pop right out. Put the others back for someone else to use. Now I'm going to put the two pieces side by side. And I'm going to make a loop knot. I'm going to pinch it at the top and I'm going to wrap it around my finger to make a loop. I'm going to slide it off of my finger. The two pieces which are in the front are now going to tuck behind and then pop back through the loop to create a knot. And then slide it as close to the top as possible. Tug on it, make sure it's nice and tight. You might have to practice this a couple times. Those loop knots can be tricky, but try your best. Now I'm going to continue weaving with my string across my loom, making sure not to pull the end pieces too tight. The part that's sticking out on the end should not be pulled too tight, otherwise the warp strings will get too skinny and you won't be able to weave anymore. So, looks like I snagged a bit of the loom there. Make sure you don't do that. Pull that knot through. Wherever the knot lands, just keep it there. We can trim it off later when we're all finished. So I'm going to continue weaving under, over, making sure when I switch directions, I continue my pattern. If I ended with under, then I start with over. Looks like I got caught again. So let's make sure, pulled it too tight. That's too much. So let's pull back out, tug it back out, push the pieces together, and continue weaving back and forth. Now, when you're all done, and you've filled up, I don't know, about maybe a third or so of the weaving loom, you're going to remove your weaving from the loom. Take a pair of scissors and flip it over onto the back. In the middle, kind of pinch and grab all the strings together. And you're going to use your scissors to cut the strings in the back. That looks good. Now, you have to be very careful with this part. You're going to gather up the strings on the top and you're going to loop them to make a knot. We're going to do another loop knot. This one's a little trickier. Be very careful and then loop them together and slide it as close to the weaving as possible. Then you're going to do the same on the other side, including maybe if you have a piece of yarn that didn't get woven all the way, you can include this into your loop knot as well. I'm going to loop it, and I'm going to grab it and pull through my loop, and then slide that loop knot all the way down to the weaving loom. And that looks good. So now it's off the loom, and my weaving is done. And I can use it for decoration or whatever I want. I'm going to clean up my materials and put everything away.